Sadly, I've got some bad news for the business community, and you wouldn't have heard a lot about this, but you will this year. The Canberra bureaucracy is coming after Aussie business, and their next weapon of choice is more green tape. This year, the Prime Minister will take a plan to Parliament. It's called the Nature Positive Plan. Have you heard about it? Probably not. It's kind of flown under the radar, but this morning we're exposing what's coming, and business owners should be listening up. We already have more than 36,000 people working in environmental departments nationwide. Now compare that to our army, which has got a headcount of 30,000. So we have more people working in green regulation than soldiers protecting our country from foreign threats. Spending in this area has increased by almost 500% since the year 2000. And now we have something coming called the Nature Positive Plan. It will reshape Australia's federal environmental laws. There are 4 new pieces of legislation that will span over 1,000 pages. And it's going to hurt. The reforms will comprehensively increase the number of rules and regulations that Aussie businesses have to deal with. It's red tape on roids. It will make it even harder to get things done. The Environment Minister, Tanya Plibersek, is working on this one. She says it will be the most comprehensive remaking of national environmental law in over 20 years. And I won't argue with Tanya on that one. Look, the devil will be in the detail, and we don't have a lot of detail. Those in the know are being sworn to secrecy. But we have a taste of what's coming thanks to people who've been briefed by senior bureaucrats. So first, Labor wants to introduce new national environmental standards. This means all new projects will have to comply with these new environmental standards, whether it be new mines, new buildings, new farms, new factories, new infrastructure projects, new hospitals, new dams, you name it. Second, businesses will have to publish their expected Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. What are they? Well, Scope 1 emissions are the emissions a company directly produces. For example, how much fuel is going into your fleet of vehicles? Scope 2 emissions are emissions that the company indirectly produces. This includes emissions indirectly created by things like air conditioners, computers, heaters, and other appliances around the office. That's right, businesses will have to take responsibility for computers and air conditioners and other devices used by the company. And companies will have to report all of this at tax time. Reporting requirements will be gradually introduced for companies of different sizes. The first group includes 723 of Australia's largest companies. They'll need to report in 2024-2025, so the deadline is already approaching. And I'm not sure that people are across this, but you better be. A second group is made up of another 755 companies. They'll begin reporting in 2026-2027. A third group of smaller companies will start reporting from 2027-2028. Now, how can businesses count their emissions? Well, don't ask me. And if you can't be bothered, you'll have to get someone in. So you'll need to hire an environmental consultant or lawyer. More green tape. Now, to be fair, the Nature Positive Plan is still under construction. But so far, only a hand-picked group have been invited to take part. They're from industry, unions, universities, and the public service. So we'll wait for the 1,000 pages and the details of the 4 new pieces of legislation, but it sounds to me like a lot of extra homework for business. And more green tape means more pain. There's also an Indigenous Advisory Committee. It'll give First Nations communities a strong voice when it comes to environmental regulation. And that sounds to me like the voice by stealth. And there's much, much more. We already have thousands of green rules and pieces of regulation. The Department of Resources estimates what's sitting in the pipeline at the moment. There's 289 major mining projects that are awaiting approval or to progress to feasibility status. So that's tens of billions of dollars of investment and thousands of new jobs, but it's sitting there in the pipeline. We need to get moving. And asking businesses to count their emissions is going to tie them up in more green tape.